Welcome to this video. Today you're about to learn the one habit that separates the weak from the powerful, the confused from the wise, and the average from the unstoppable. This is not just a motivational video. This is a wake-up call. This is a system, a warning, a strategy, a map. Every day you scroll through life distracted by noise. Every day you watch athletes rise while you feel stuck. And every day you avoid the one thing that could change everything. Training your mind, educating yourself. Let me say this clearly. Your real enemy is not injury, not defeat, not fear. Your real enemy is not knowing how your body recovers, not knowing how nutrition fuels you, not knowing how breathing calms you, not knowing how to control your patience. Your focus, your thoughts, your discipline, and if you don't educate yourself daily, life will educate you through exhaustion, heartbreak, regret, rejection. You'll keep losing health, relationships, self-respect, all because you stopped growing. But here's the truth. 1 hour a day. Just one can make you stronger than 99% of people who stopped learning once training ended or school finished. And in this video, I will guide you step by step how to build this daily habit. I'll show you what to learn, how to practice, when to act, and how this will change your entire future. And yes, this video is also great for your English because the more you listen, the more your brain grows. You learn powerful ideas and powerful English together. This is not just education. This is transformation. So let's begin the brutal truth. If you don't educate yourself, life will. Let's start with honesty. Most people stop learning after graduation, and that's why their progress never changes. They memorize facts, pass the test, forget, then hope for improvement. They wait for a good career, a good chance, a good future. But they forgot something. School may give you a certificate, but only self-education gives you freedom. The world is changing fast. New science, new sports, new medicine, new challenges. But most people are still living with old habits, old beliefs, old thinking, old routines. They don't know how energy works. They don't know how to rest. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to control their impulses. They don't know how to lead themselves, how to build strength, how to survive under pressure. So what happens? Life teaches them, but not with books. Life teaches with pain. You didn't study recovery. Now you're constantly tired. You didn't learn about toxic friends. Now you feel broken inside. You didn't learn how to adapt. Now you're 35, stuck, begging for motivation. You didn't learn how to think for yourself. Now you follow the crowd. And the crowd is going nowhere. And the worst part, you think it's normal. But let me ask you this. Why are the top 1% always reading, learning, training their minds? Why are champions still studying strategy at 40? Why are elite athletes reviewing game footage for hours every day? Because they know daily education is not a hobby. It's survival. It's the foundation of strength. The average person scrolls for hours. The future leader studies. And if you don't start educating yourself, someone else will always control you. Your opponent, your mistakes, your fears. This is not motivation. This is your only chance to escape the trap. Learn daily or stay weak forever. That's the brutal truth. Why daily education builds respect, clarity, control? Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who speaks with calm power? Who doesn't panic? Who always finds solutions? Who people admire, respect, and follow? They are not lucky. They are educated daily. Here's what happens when you learn every day. You feel stronger. You know why you feel insecure, lost, or weak? Because you feel unprepared. But the more you learn, the stronger you become. You learn how to solve challenges, handle stress, take action, and stay composed under fire. And that confidence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from knowing. You speak differently. When you educate yourself daily, your vocabulary grows. You think more clearly. You express better ideas. You become the person in the room people want to listen to because you bring value. You're not loud. You're sharp. People don't respect noise. They respect clarity. And clarity comes from daily education. You make smarter decisions. Imagine this. Two fighters face the same situation. One has studied strategy, reviewed mistakes, learned discipline. The other just guesses. Who wins? Always the one who's prepared. Life is a game of decisions, and the more you know, the better you play. You attract opportunities by becoming sharp, consistent, reliable. People want to work with strong minds. People want to help those who are serious. People follow those who think clearly. Daily education gives you that power. It makes you valuable. Because while others gossip about nonsense, you're talking about growth. You feel in control. Daily learning gives you control over your time, your energy, your body, your focus, your direction. Because now you're not reacting to life. You're building your life. You're not waiting for rescue. You're training yourself. That control, that respect only comes from one place, educating yourself daily. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs people who think clearly, people who lead, adapt, and stay strong. And that starts with learning every day, because 1 hour of focused learning is more powerful than 10 hours of blind hard work. And if you start today in 1 year, you won't recognize yourself. Section 1. Health Education. Learn how to build, protect, and grow your energy. Let's begin with the most painful truth most people never want to face. You can be kind, you can be honest, you can be a good person, but if you don't understand health, your future will still collapse. Read that again. In school. They taught you math, but they never taught you how to rest. They made you memorize history dates, but not how to breathe deeply. They pushed you through exams, but never taught you how to fuel your body with the right nutrition. That's why people spend their lives exhausted, sick, or stressed. Let me give you a simple rule that could change your life forever. If you don't study health, you will always suffer from preventable weakness and disease. That's the truth. And it hurts. But it can save you. So what does health education really mean? It means learning how your body and mind truly work. It means understanding how to sleep deeply, how to train safely, how to recover properly, how to protect your body from long-term damage, illness, and stress. Now, listen closely. This is not about becoming a superhuman. This is about something even more powerful. Becoming free. Free from fatigue, dependence, and fear of breaking down. Because when you understand health, you don't panic. You plan, you protect, you rise. There are two athletes. Both train the same hours. Person A ignores recovery. They eat junk food every weekend. Never study nutrition. Never learn about mobility or balance. They just push hard and hope. Person B studies health every day. Just 20 minutes. They learn how to rest properly, how to avoid injuries, how to strengthen their mind with meditation. And in 5 years, they are unstoppable. Same effort, different future. Why? One chose education, the other chose ignorance. Which one are you becoming? Learn how strong people recover. Learn the science of nutrition. Learn the difference between training and overtraining. Learn how to balance work and rest. Learn how to build small daily rituals that keep your body strong for life. Nobody is coming to save you. And luck is not a health plan. You must take your body and train it like a sacred gift every day. Because in this world, you will either be educated about health or you will be destroyed by those who ignore it. 1 hour a day. That's all it takes. Read, watch, learn. In 365 days, Your physical and mental strength will never be the same. Section 2. Skill education. Learn something that makes you valuable. Let me now give you the second most life-changing truth. You do not get rewarded for time. You get rewarded for value. And how do you become valuable? Not by waiting, not by complaining, not by blaming luck, but by developing real skills that solve problems. Most people struggle daily, not because they're lazy, but because they never took time to develop a skill the world actually needs right now. You can be motivated. You can be positive. But if you don't have a skill others will pay for, you will always remain stuck and frustrated. That's why skill education is your daily responsibility. Every day you should be asking, what can I do today that I couldn't do yesterday? What skill can I sharpen that will make me more useful, more valuable, more respected, more impossible to ignore in this noisy world? Because skills are the new currency. Imagine this. 2 players join the same team. One says, I'll work hard. I'll stay loyal. Please give me a chance. The other says, here's how I can dribble, strategize, pass, score, or inspire the team. Who do you think the coach trusts? The one with skill, not the sob story, not the wish, the skill. These are skills you can start learning today, free, from online classes, YouTube, books, mentors, or communities around you. Writing persuasive words that move hearts. Video storytelling for creators, businesses or organizations. Selling with confidence. Public speaking that inspires trust and builds followership. Digital influence, reaching audiences through social media. Freelancing, offering services people already search for. Design, creating logos, posters, and identities that attract. Building websites that connect. Learning how to use AI tools to boost productivity. Training leadership, so you can build teams instead of only serving them. These are weapons in today's battlefield. Start small. Learn for 30 minutes. Practice for 30 minutes more. In 90 days, you'll be more valuable than most people sitting around you right now. Most people fail because they want results without skills. They want recognition without learning. They say, I'll do it tomorrow every day, for years, and stay stuck forever. But not you, not anymore. If you're broke, don't cry, learn. If you're confused, don't scroll, learn. If you feel invisible, don't wait, learn. Educate yourself daily in skills. That's the fastest way out of survival mode. Because once you become valuable, the world cannot ignore you anymore. Section 3. Mindset education. Learn how to think powerfully and clearly. Let's be honest. Some people train endlessly and still remain average. Others train less and improve faster. Why? Because of one invisible factor. Their mindset. Your mindset is how you think. It's your operating system. It's the filter you use to interpret reality. 2 runners face the same challenge. One says, why is this so hard for me? The other says, what can this teach me today? Same challenge, different mindset, different outcome. Why do most people stay average? Because they never study how to think. They copy others. They react emotionally. They complain. They give up after one setback. They need constant external motivation because their mind was never trained to stay strong under pressure. That's why you must make mindset education a daily habit. Imagine your mind is like a battlefield. Every day you face doubt, fear, laziness, distraction, and regret. Now ask yourself, have you trained your mind to fight those battles? If not, they will defeat you again and again until you finally surrender. That's why people lose discipline. That's why they say, I'll start tomorrow, every single day. That's why they feel restless even when life seems okay. Because their mind is untrained. You can have the best chance in the world. But with the wrong mindset, you will sabotage all of it by yourself. How to learn daily for mindset growth. Learn how to control your thoughts, how to stay resilient under pressure, how to focus in a noisy world, how to build identity-shaping habits, how to stop overthinking and fearing failure, how to stay calm in chaos, storms, or unexpected changes life throws at you. Read 10 pages from mindset books. The Mountain is You, Atomic Habits, Can't Hurt Me. Watch one video daily about mental toughness and discipline. Goggins, Jocko, Navy SEAL Mindset. Journal your thoughts. Ask yourself, what am I thinking today? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Learn from people's actions, not just from their speeches. Life is not about what happens to you, it's about what you do with it. And that's called mindset. Mindset decides whether you rise or collapse. The wrong mindset keeps you lazy, jealous, and stuck. The right mindset makes you a warrior even when you are silent, still, and unseen by others. And mindset doesn't come from motivational quotes. It comes from daily practice, daily reflection, daily sharpening of your inner weapon until it becomes unbreakable. Train your body. Once you feel strong, train your mind daily. You will become unstoppable because body fades with time, but mindset carries you forward forever. Section 4. Emotional education. Learn how to control yourself in a chaotic world. Let me tell you a painful reality. Most people lose everything, not from lack of ability. They lose because they never learned how to manage emotions. They destroy friendships. They quit dreams. They make terrible decisions. They explode at the wrong time. They chase validation. They carry pain for years, all because they never studied themselves. And the saddest part? They think it's normal. I'm just emotional. I can't help how I feel. That's who I am. No, that's not who you are. That's a version shaped by untrained emotions. But now you get to retrain yourself. What is emotional education? It's the daily practice of learning how to stay calm while others lose control around you, how to process emotions instead of exploding, how to not let fear freeze you, how to not let sadness control you, how to master your triggers. This is not soft training. This is survival training. Because if you don't control your emotions, they will control your entire future, your relationships, your destiny. Imagine this. You train hard for weeks. One coach criticizes you. If you're untrained emotionally, you break down, you overreact, you doubt yourself for weeks. But if you're emotionally strong, you pause, you reflect, you adjust, you move forward stronger. Same criticism, different reaction, different outcome, different destiny built. Emotional triggers. What sets you off and why? Past patterns that still rule you. Fear of rejection, shame, guilt, overthinking, dependency, jealousy. Learn to observe them daily. Journal whenever you feel upset. Ask, what emotion is this? Where did it come from? Watch one video daily on emotional mastery. Practice pausing before reacting. Learn therapy, healing, respect, reflect. Am I acting from pain or power? Most people are slaves to feelings, but education gives you freedom from these hidden chains. When you learn to handle anger, sadness, envy, fear, you stop making emotional decisions. You start making wise decisions that change your entire destiny forever. So don't just build your goals. Build your soul daily. Educate yourself in emotional control. Because the strongest are not those who fight others, but themselves. Section 5. Market education. Learn what the world is paying for. Let me give you one sentence that can completely shift your direction and future forever. You don't get rewarded for what you love. You get rewarded for what people need. And most people forget this truth until it's too late. They focus only on what they enjoy, but they never stop to ask, what is the world demanding right now? What problems are people desperate to solve? What are communities willing to pay for? This is reality. If you ignore the market will ignore you. And that's why many remain broke. Why do most hardworking people remain poor? Because they never studied the market. They kept repeating yesterday's moves even while the world completely changed around them. And the world has changed. People learn online now. Companies want digital solutions. Jobs are remote. Artificial intelligence is replacing repetitive tasks across every single industry. Creators are building thriving businesses from their phones. Trainers are coaching millions online. So if you're not watching the market daily, you're falling behind already. There was a craftsman who repaired old radios for 20 years. It once was a good business, but people stopped repairing radios. They bought new devices. He kept sitting in his shop, waiting for customers who never returned. He said, "This is what I know. This is all I can do." But the market didn't care. And slowly, he lost everything. The lesson? The market doesn't care about your comfort. It rewards those who adapt and evolve fast. What to study daily? What products or services are people paying for right now? What industries are growing? For example, health, technology, online learning, sports, and entertainment. What challenges are people posting online? What jobs are being offered on freelancing sites? What new tools are making old jobs easier, faster, or cheaper everywhere? Look at trending services on platforms. Read discussions on forums where people complain. Remember, problems equal opportunities. Each complaint is a market waiting for a solution. Watch what creators are selling: courses, memberships, services, products. Study the type of content going viral. Read newsletters and startup reports to track innovation and demand. You can be the best singer alive, but if nobody hires singers, you need to adapt. You can love making tapes, but the world has moved on. And here's the good news. You don't need to erase who you are. You just need to match your value with what the market demands today. So stop shouting into an empty room. Start listening. Start adapting. Study the market daily, because the ones who watch the market carefully are the ones rewarded. Section 6. Digital education. Learn the tools of the future before they replace you. Let's face it, we are no longer in the information age anymore. We are now in the automation age. And if you're not learning how to use digital tools, you will be replaced, ignored, and left behind. Being bad with technology is no longer funny. It's dangerous. Every business is going online. Every athlete uses apps. Every creator uses AI to multiply their work. Every industry is shifting fast. Medicine, education, law, entertainment. So the person who says, "I'm not a tech person," is the person saying, "I'll soon be irrelevant." Example: there was a coach who ran a fitness studio for 15 years. Great service, loyal clients, good space. Then lockdown arrived, doors shut, bills kept coming. She didn't know how to live stream a class. She didn't know how to post properly on social media. She said, "I'm old school. That's not me." But the world moved forward. Meanwhile, a younger trainer created a YouTube channel, shared free workouts, built online coaching packages, and doubled income without leaving home. The first coach had more talent, but less digital education. And that's the difference between survival and collapse. The future doesn't belong to the strongest. It belongs to the digitally smart. What to study daily? How to use platforms like Canva, Notion, Google Drive, Zoom, ChatGPT. How to create a simple digital presence. How to use AI tools for design, writing, and planning. How to record a video, create a thumbnail, upload a short. How e-commerce and funnels work. How to automate small tasks. How to collaborate globally online. Spend 30 minutes daily learning one new tool. Watch tutorials on YouTube. Practice with free apps today. Start a simple blog. Design a digital poster. Create a website. Even tiny steps build confidence with tech. Each day makes you more future-ready than yesterday. And you don't need to be a programmer or hacker, but you must become someone who understands how the digital world now operates and evolves relentlessly. So ask yourself daily, what new tool did I learn today? How am I becoming more future-ready? If your answer is nothing, you are already behind. Start now. Start today. Because in this digital age, education is not optional. It is your shield. It is your sword. It is your survival strategy. Section 7. Self-awareness education. Learn who you really are. Let's start with the deepest truth. You will never win if you don't know yourself clearly. Most people know their favorite food, their password, their favorite color, but they don't know their deepest triggers or what quietly destroys their inner peace daily. They don't know why they sabotage their own success, what insecurities control them, or what kind of people secretly poison their spirit and energy consistently. That's why most live like passengers, not drivers. They let others decide what job they take, who they marry, what beliefs to follow. When they should feel happy, they live by expectations, not by awareness. Imagine a player who kept switching teams every season, each time. He blamed coaches, teammates, the system, the environment, but one day he stopped and asked, what if the real problem is inside me? He started journaling his thoughts, his reactions, his fears, his insecurities, and he realized he wasn't angry at the team. He was angry at himself for never allowing himself to pursue his true passion fully. That one question, what if the problem is me, changed his life forever. He didn't need a new team. He needed new self-awareness to unlock his path. What to study daily? Why do I react this way? What's my biggest fear and where did it come from? What patterns do I repeat endlessly? What part of me am I ignoring? What secretly drains me? Write one honest paragraph about your feelings every day. Ask, was this the real me? Or was it the scared version of me? Watch videos on self-discovery, childhood wounds, human behavior. Read books like The Untethered Soul or The Courage to be Disliked. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what am I running from? You cannot escape a prison if you don't know you're already inside one. And most people are trapped in themselves. They fix the outside while the real war is inside. They fight shadows, not the root cause, wasting years endlessly. Unless you educate yourself about who you are, you will keep fighting wrong battles, chasing wrong partners, saying yes when you should say no. Wasting time. The most powerful education is not about the outside world. It's about yourself. Because once you know who you are, you stop chasing who you're not. Section 8. Street education. Learn how the real world works. Now it's time to face the harshest truth. Books may give you rules, but reality gives you lessons. You can have degrees, you can be intelligent, but if you don't understand how people truly behave, you will keep getting tricked, betrayed, and used. Because the real world is not a classroom, it's a battlefield. And here's what schools never taught you. People lie, people play games, people wear masks. They say one thing, but mean another. They pretend to care until you're no longer useful. This isn't negativity. This is survival awareness you must carry daily. For example, a young athlete joined his first professional team. He worked hard, trusted everyone, shared his strategies openly, and believed the team was like family. 6 months later, his ideas were stolen, his credit was erased, and his so-called friend used him to climb higher in the rankings. He broke down, not because he was weak, but because he was uneducated about the hidden rules of power, politics, and manipulation. After that, he changed his approach forever. He studied people. He stopped giving access too easily. He learned to move smart, not just kind. That new version of him became unshakable in any situation. What should you study daily? How to read intentions, not just words, how to spot manipulation, guilt tripping, fake loyalty, how to build boundaries with charm and strength, how to sense when something feels wrong, how to negotiate without emotional weakness, how to trust slowly, observe deeply, and move silently without announcing every move. Read books like The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Watch interviews with negotiators, hustlers, or survivors who understand power. Study body language. Silence often reveals more than words. Reflect after each interaction. What did I miss today? Learn from betrayal. Not to stay bitter, but wiser. If you only read books, you may sound smart. But if you combine book knowledge with street knowledge, you become powerful. The world respects street intelligence. So don't just be kind, be aware. Don't just be loyal, be smart. Don't just believe words, study patterns. This world is full of actors and hidden agendas. And if you don't know the script, you'll keep playing the fool in someone else's story. Street education is daily armor. Put it on and never take it off. Section 9. Foundation Education. What schools never taught us, but life always demands. Let's be honest. Schools trained you for exams, but life tests you with storms. They taught you definitions, essays, deadlines, obedience, but they never taught you how to manage emotions, time, discipline, betrayal, heartbreak, or heavy responsibility. And now the world demands these skills daily, but no one prepared you. That's why foundation education is your responsibility. Training for life, not just exams. For example, there was a student who always scored top marks. Teachers called him gifted, polite, perfect. But the moment life tested him, he collapsed instantly. His first injury, his first rejection, his first heartbreak, he couldn't handle it. No one taught him how to rebuild himself, how to stand when the world shook. All the grades in the world couldn't save him from himself. He didn't need more formulas. He needed foundation education, the kind that builds unbreakable inner strength. What to study daily, how to manage your time with clarity, how to say no without guilt, how to endure failure without losing identity or dignity, how to delay gratification, how to build discipline. Because discipline equals freedom. How to choose your friends wisely, how to control your daily habits and routines, how to stay calm when the world loses control. Reflect on your worst mistakes and ask, what led me here? Create a tracker for habits and mindset. Learn one rule daily about stoicism. Resilience, or self-control. Practice doing hard things, not to suffer, but to grow stronger. Read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Read Can't Hurt Me. Read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Or watch their summaries. Foundation education gives you strength school never gave you. Because money won't save you from panic. Fame won't save you from emptiness. Degrees won't save you from insecurity. Only inner strength carries you through storms. So build it daily. Train your foundation. Because if you don't, success will crush you, the world will break you, and it will never feel sorry. Section 10. Problems Education. How to become a builder, not a complainer. Here's one of the most underrated powers, the ability to solve problems under pressure. Your entire future depends on this single skill. Can you stay calm, think clearly, and create solutions when everything feels impossible? That is the ultimate test. If you can't do that, you will always depend on others. You will freeze, panic, and collapse while life keeps hitting you again and again. But if you train yourself as a problem solver, you become respected, needed, unstoppable. This isn't about being a genius. It's about consistent mental training daily. 2 people faced the pandemic. One said, "This isn't fair. This is too hard. I give up." The other asked, "What can I do from here?" One stayed broke. The other built an online business, learned digital sales, and doubled income. Same crisis, different mindset. One complained, the other solved problems. Which one will you become? What should you study daily? How to define problems clearly. How to break big problems into small actions. How to remove emotions. How to think like a builder, not a victim. How to reverse engineer goals. How to plan under pressure. How to use logic with courage. Solve one small frustration daily instead of ignoring it. Read case studies about people who built something from nothing. Learn how leaders and innovators approach challenges. Study mental models, first principles, second order thinking. The 80-20 rule. Journal. What problem did I face today? How could I have solved it better? Most people describe problems endlessly. Winners solve them quickly. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs builders who think fast, act smart, and create solutions. And here's the truth. You don't need a genius brain. You need daily practice, solving, adapting, building, until it becomes who you are permanently, unshakably. Because in the end, complainers stay stuck. Solvers get promoted. Solvers build companies. Solvers become leaders. And that leader could be you, if you train daily. Most people waste their entire lives. Not because they are weak, not because they are foolish, but because they never built the habit of daily self-education. They waited for schools to teach them. They waited for mentors to guide them. They waited for motivation to appear. But the truth is, no one is coming. You are the teacher. You are the student. You are the university. And if you're not growing daily, you're slowly dying inside without even noticing the decay. So decide now. Will you scroll endlessly, or will you study intentionally? Will you keep talking loudly, or will you transform yourself in silence? Will you watch others grow, or will you finally grow yourself? The world doesn't need more noise. It needs people who rise, who learn, who never stop. And remember this, 1 hour a day of education can make you more powerful than 10 years of blind, exhausting, meaningless struggle that leads nowhere. Start today. Start now. Start with 1 page, 1 video, 1 new action. Your future is watching you closely. Don't let it down anymore. Section 11. Physical education. Learn how your body is the foundation of everything, because no matter how brilliant your mind is, if your body fails, everything collapses. You can have talent, ambition, and dreams, but if your health collapses, none of it will matter. That's why physical education must be part of daily growth, not just gym workouts, but knowledge of the body, understanding nutrition, recovery, flexibility, movement, breathing, strength training, balance, endurance, posture, and long-term physical care. For example, a martial artist trained 8 hours daily, but ignored rest and nutrition. By 35, his body broke. His passion collapsed because his foundation was weak. Meanwhile, another athlete trained smarter. He studied recovery, diet, posture, and mental focus. He trained less, but by 45, he still performed like a champion. What's the difference? Daily education. One learned only through sweat. The other learned through knowledge plus sweat. One collapsed early. The other thrived longer. Which one will you be? What to learn daily? The science of sleep. The effects of different foods. Breathing exercises to control stress. Posture and mobility drills to prevent injuries and pain. Read about anatomy. Watch tutorials on stretching. Study how recovery works. Try journaling your body's reactions. What drains me? What energizes me? How can I improve my body today? Because if you don't educate yourself physically, your body will punish you with pain, fatigue, disease, and regret. That is the brutal, undeniable truth of life. Section 12. Relationship education. Learn how to connect with people wisely, because no matter how strong you are alone, life will test you through relationships constantly. Most people fail not because they lacked skill, but because they surrounded themselves with the wrong people. Draining, toxic, controlling, fake, and they never studied relationships. For example, a talented entrepreneur partnered with a manipulative friend. He trusted blindly. Within years, the friend drained the company, destroyed trust, and left him broken. But another entrepreneur studied psychology. She learned about boundaries, red flags, emotional intelligence, and communication. She built alliances with winners and protected herself from manipulators. Same world, different outcome. Why? Daily education in relationships. What to study. How to build trust slowly. How to read character. How to spot narcissists and liars. How to say no without guilt. How to build alliances with those who lift you higher. How to cut ties without fear. How to choose wisely. Read about attachment styles. Love languages. Manipulation tactics. Watch content on emotional intelligence. Reflect on your daily interactions. Did this person drain me or strengthen me? Relationships are either ladders or cages. If you don't educate yourself about them, you'll climb into the wrong cage and wonder why you're suffocating daily. Section 13. Financial Mindset Education. Learn how to think like builders, not spenders. Because most people don't fail because of lack of money, but because of wrong money mindset. They see money only as spending. They never see it as seed, tool, or servant. And because of that, they remain trapped in endless cycles of survival. For example, two young workers earned the same income. One spent every weekend on gadgets and pleasures. The other studied investing, saving, and building assets. 10 years later, one is broke and tired. The other is free and thriving. Not because of luck, but because of mindset education about money. What to study daily? The difference between assets and liabilities. The difference between income and wealth. How to multiply small amounts into large freedom. How to track spending. How to build emergency funds. How to invest long-term. How to see money as a seed you plant, not candy you eat. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Watch finance channels. Journal. How did I use money today? Did I plant it or waste it? Am I building freedom or slavery? Because if you don't educate your money mindset, your emotions will control your wallet. And if emotions control your wallet, you'll remain trapped forever. Section 14. Resilience Education. Learn how to suffer with strength. Because life will test you with storms, injuries, heartbreaks, failures, betrayals, unexpected disasters you never saw coming. Most people collapse because they never trained resilience. They thought comfort was permanent. They thought ease was guaranteed. But storms came, and storms broke them completely. For example, a runner trained only on sunny days. The moment rain fell, he gave up. Another trained in every storm, every season, every condition. He became unstoppable. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about preparing for it. What to study daily. How to embrace discomfort. How to breathe in chaos. How to recover faster. How to control self-talk during storms. How to anchor yourself with principles. How to see pain as teacher. How to see failure as raw material for growth. Read about stoicism. Journal. What pain did I face today? What did it teach me? How can I suffer smarter, not weaker? Tomorrow? Because storms are guaranteed, but collapse is optional, and resilience is education. Learn it daily, or life will force you to repeat painful lessons until you finally grow. Section 15. Leadership Education. Learn how to guide yourself and others. Because no matter how skilled you are, Leadership determines whether people follow you or ignore you. Most people think leadership is about commanding loudly, but true leadership is about clarity, vision, and responsibility. And you must study it daily to grow. For example, a talented player was promoted to team captain, but he never studied leadership. He shouted, blamed, and lost respect. Soon, nobody listened anymore. Another captain studied leadership daily. He learned how to inspire, listen, set examples, and take responsibility. His team followed him, not from fear, but from respect. What to study daily? How to communicate with clarity, how to take responsibility, how to make decisions under pressure, how to inspire without manipulation, how to lead by example. Read Leaders Eat Last. Read Extreme Ownership. Watch leaders handle crises. Reflect. Am I guiding or just reacting? Am I building others or only demanding from them? Because without leadership education, you may gain positions but lose people. And leadership without people is an empty title. Learn it daily or collapse when tested. Section 16, Creativity Education. Learn how to imagine solutions when others see problems. Because in today's world, creativity is no longer a luxury. It's a survival skill. Most people think creativity belongs only to artists. But creativity is required in every field: sports, business, science, communication, leadership. Creativity turns limits into possibilities. For example, a coach with limited equipment designed creative drills for players. His team outperformed wealthier teams with better facilities. Creativity multiplied his limited resources. What to study daily? How to brainstorm freely. How to combine old ideas into new ones. How to think from different perspectives. How to question assumptions. Read about design thinking. Watch documentaries on inventors. Practice writing 10 ideas daily, no matter how small. Train your brain to create constantly, not occasionally. Because in the future, machines will follow instructions, but humans will survive by imagining new paths machines cannot. Creativity is education. Train it like a muscle. Section 17. Spiritual education. Learn how to connect beyond yourself. Because even with money, health, and power, life feels empty without meaning, faith, or higher purpose. Most people chase achievements, but inside they feel lost. They never studied the spiritual side of life. They never asked, what am I truly living for? For example, a wealthy businessman reached every goal but felt broken inside. He studied spirituality, gratitude, humility, and purpose. That gave him peace success never gave. What to study daily? How to practice gratitude. How to sit in silence. How to forgive. How to let go. How to connect with higher values. Read scriptures. Read spiritual books. Journal your gratitude. Reflect on your actions. Are they guided by greed, fear, or love? Which part of me am I feeding? Spiritual education is not religion. It's daily training of your soul. Because without spirit, strength becomes pride, money becomes emptiness, and success becomes meaningless noise. Section 18. Service education. Learn how to help others effectively. Because life is not only about personal growth. Real fulfillment comes when you lift others as you rise. Most people think service is about sacrifice, but service is about contribution. Using your growth to multiply others' growth. That's why service must be studied daily. For example, a mentor taught young athletes discipline and mindset. Years later, those athletes became champions. His legacy lived through them. That's the power of service. What to study daily? How to teach, how to listen, how to mentor, how to serve without expecting, how to give in ways that multiply value. Reflect. Who did I help today? Who became stronger because I showed up? What can I share daily from what I've already learned and lived? Because service education transforms growth into legacy. And legacy is the only thing that outlives you, the only echo that continues when you are gone. So here we are. The brutal truth is clear. If you don't educate yourself daily, life will. But life teaches with pain, regret, and loss. Daily self-education is the only escape from that trap. Financial, physical, emotional, spiritual, digital, creative, relational. It all builds the armor you need for survival. No one is coming to rescue you. You are the teacher. You are the student. You are the university. Growth is your responsibility. Every single day. So ask yourself, will you keep waiting or will you start? Will you keep scrolling or will you study? Will you keep complaining or will you build? The world doesn't need more noise. It needs clarity. It needs warriors of the mind. It needs builders of strength. It needs learners who never stop. And you can be one of them. 1 hour a day, 1 book, 1 lesson, 1 reflection, 1 practice. In 1 year, you'll transform completely. Start now. Don't wait. Your future self is watching. Don't let them down. Rise today. Learn daily. Build yourself. Then build the world around you stronger. If this message moved you, subscribe now. Share this with someone who needs it. And hit the bell icon so you never miss what's coming next.